Testing 1 2 3. They can hear me, probably. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. 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 All right. Welcome. Good morning. So, hope everybody's doing well today. I'm trying out a new streaming platform. So, bear with me while I figure out the bumps and bruises and glitches and broken things that are going to be probably happening in the stream. But we'll do our best. I'm an old guy. I'm not supposed to be good at technology. Um, I'm gonna hide a couple pieces here. I'm gonna hide the chat box because it doesn't even look like it's working. So yeah, we'll just go with webcam and the screen. So just a quick update on where I am. We did have the stream last Saturday. I was really tired. Just kind of felt drained. I actually took 4 days off the gym. Now that was, well, I should say 4 days off strength training. I still did my morning fasted cardio. I do fasted cardio every morning, pretty much 6 days a week. And I alternate between, doing the treadmill for 30, 40 minutes, you know, variable walking up, at an incline or whatnot. And then about 3 or 4 times a week, I try to do what's called high intensity cardio, where I do the step mill. And what I've been kind of doing is kind of alternating to kind of train my heart. I do an alternating intensity and then back down. So I do, 2 minutes on the step mill at like a 4 setting just to get kind of warmed up. And then after 2 minutes, I crank it up to 11. And I do that for 2 to 2.5 minutes. And then I crank it back down to 4 to recover for 2 minutes. And then I do it again for 2.5 minutes. And I just kind of do that for I do like 3 or 4 of those to where it turns out to be like 22 minutes or something like that. Just that cycle. And then usually towards the end, I got to do like only a minute of those high intensity sections because my heart rate is in the, at that point is after I've done 3 or 4 of those rotations, my heart rate's anywhere between 140, 150 beats a minute, where I kind of want to keep it. Don't want to get it too much higher above that, just because I'm not trying to be a endurance athlete. I'm trying to be a bodybuilder. So, I think you're not supposed to call yourself a bodybuilder if you don't compete. So a bodybuilder enthusiast, I believe, is the technical term that I'm supposed to use for that. Yeah, so I took 4 days off, kind of weight training to see if maybe that would help some of my sleep. I am still having some sleep problems. Um, it didn't really help my sleep. And so I started thinking, well, maybe it's because I'm still doing cardio. I don't know. The cardio I did for those 4 days was not high intensity. It was all just walking. So it wasn't what I would call vigorous. I did still get like 12 to 13,000 steps those days though. So I thought, okay, well maybe I need time off the gym and then also low step count. So that's what I did. Was that yesterday? I think that's what I did yesterday. I didn't go to the gym at all yesterday. So I got like 5,000 steps and did not weight train. And yeah, I didn't really see any improvement in my sleep. So not sure what's going on with my sleep. Well, I have a general idea. I'm going to be trying a couple things out to see if it helps. But one thing I wanted to show you was like, so I primarily capture my data through 3 different main input channels, right? I get it through my watch, my Garmin watch. I get it through my Aura ring, and then I get it through the Morpheus chest strap that I've talked about on this show before. I called this a show. It's not really a show. On the stream before. Like, yeah, so I get it through those things. And what you'll notice is, and this is kind of the same, I'll show you Aura and then Connect. It's pretty cool. Like Garmin and Aura will let you see your stuff on the web through kind of a dashboard. But you can see on like August 31st, I kind of had this steady down climb of HRV status, which is heart rate variabilities, and this is the measurement um, between um, your heartbeats in a period of time. And so it measures this while I'm sleeping for Garmin. Morpheus, and this the same with Aura, and then Morpheus does it when you first wake up. You kick it off for a couple minutes, and then it does it when you first wake up. Um, Morpheus uses a chest strap. The other one uses your finger or your wrist for the data. But Aura and Garmin both show my HRV basically tanking, and basically it really tanked last night because I didn't get very much sleep at all. In fact, I'll be able to see. I'm not really good at all the menu. I don't have them all. I just kind of found these websites yesterday. I thought it was all app based on the phone, but turns out you can get to this data online. Oh, here it is. Sleep. Yeah. So yeah. Great. So if you look at my sleep, you'll notice a pretty steady downfall the last couple days. The last 4 weeks, it's been okay, and then all of a sudden, it's like slowly just kind of getting worse. So, um, yeah, it's all just kind of, I'm just trying to figure out kind of what's going on with me right now. What's funny though is that I feel okay, like during the day. Now, yesterday I didn't feel very good because I didn't drink any caffeine. I tried to remove like all stimulants. Um, I took some L-theanine to try to, kind of lower my sympathetic tone, go into parasympathetic, rest and digest mode is what they call it, to kind of try to recover a little bit. But it really didn't help. It actually made it worse, to where I slept worse last night. So it's really weird. Like, I don't really know what's going on, but during the day, I feel fine. Like, I'm not really tired. My weight training that I did 2 days ago was fine. I did I did a back workout, and it was great. So I don't know. It's really weird. Like, I'm getting less sleep. All the data shows that I am in bad shape. Um, in fact, you can kind of see my resting heart rate is actually elevating now too. Um, so you can it's barely noticeable, but it's like here you can see it's 53. Now I'm trending in the 55 to 58, which it should be going the other way, right? Um, as I condition myself more and more, it should be going down. So I think if I look at the last year, you can kind of see um, resting 50. It kind of stays in the lower 50s. But when I really started to up my cardio, it was like right here, and you can see it lowering. It goes down to like 52 in late July because that's when I was really pushing cardio hard. So it's not like that's bad or anything, but it's really that it's really that um, what do you call it? The HRV that I'm trying to kind of figure out why all my HRV stuff is looking kind of bad, um, and why my sleep is getting shorter and shorter. Basically, like it started out, I would wake up at 5, which is fine. Get up, do my cardio, get the kids ready for school. It's all good. And I go to sleep about 9:30 p.m. So that's about 7.5 hours. That's pretty good, or 7 hours or so. But now it's like 4, and then last night it was 3. So like it's like my sleep is shortening, and if I go to bed earlier, I wake up earlier. So it's like the amount of time that I need to sleep is actually shorter now. Um, so let me see if I can show. Yeah, my sleep score. I don't know if I can. I can't really show. Uh, oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Like I said, I'm still trying to kind of get used to this, but you'll see. Yeah, like this is kind of a bad. I was getting 7 hours kind of here and there, but now, ever since the last two, I'd say week or so, it's getting shorter and shorter. Especially the last week. So anyway, like I said, I don't really feel bad, but it's definitely something I'm trying to figure out. And you can see like my sleep consistency is average bedtime is like I'm pretty locked in. like you can see that. And then my wake time is getting short, like earlier and earlier. You see that? But if I think if I go, let's look at it in it last year. Yeah, you can kind of see like, here average wake time 7 a.m. I remember that. Yeah, I mean, I'd wake up at 7, get the kids ready, and get them off to school. Now though, it's getting shorter and shorter. So I want to be like my goal is to get over 7 hours of sleep. Is kind of my goal. Um, so I just feel like that would be better for recovery. And I used to get that pretty religiously. Like look back in March, like I was getting 7 hours fine. But then, now I did go into dieting right here. So, maybe it has something to do with being like too lean or something. Maybe it's my body fat percentage. This morning I was 168 pounds. So when I DEXA scanned, I think I was like 165. Um, so I've really only gained like, I think I've gained like 3 or 4 pounds in a month, which that's pretty good. Like that's a good kind of clip. But I'm wondering if maybe what I should have done was gain a whole mess of weight in the beginning to try to get myself up to a body fat percentage that my body's a little bit more comfortable with, and then go slow from there. But I was afraid that like I would just pig out, gain a ton of weight, and then I wouldn't be able to stop, and then I would just gain, and next thing I know, I undid all the work I worked my butt off for. So yeah, so it's a tricky thing. Here's the Aura data. This is kind of interesting. Their website's not as good, I think, as Garmin. Um, you kind of have to toggle this thing here. But yeah, if you look at my HRV, it was pretty good. Like, the weeks in late August, and then now it's just tanking. So I don't know. It's really odd. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and my sleep score kind of shows something similar. It was getting better, but now it's kind of dropping off. Here, I was really pushing hard, so I was not sleeping well at all in that area. That's when I was dieting hard. So, and it shows, same thing as kind of the Garmin. It shows my HRV going down. So I've got two data sources that show that my heart rate variability is going down, which means that my body is in more stress and being stressed more and more, not recovering. But what's weird is when I check Morpheus in the morning, it's kind of hit or miss. Like it's like some days I'm in like I think in this area right here, I have to go back and look, but one of the days I got like a perfect 100. So like it was like you're primed and ready to like murder yourself in the gym. But I've noticed it's very bouncy. Like one day it'll be 100, next day it'll be like 70, it'll be like 80, and then I think yesterday it was like 50, which is really really bad. And then today it was like 86. So it's really volatile. Like, and it used to be like I would have trends, like where I would trend up, then I kind of trend down, so I'd pull back, and then it would go back up, and and then it would trend down, and then if I didn't listen to it, it would keep going down, and we talked about that in the past streams. But anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at. I feel okay. Um, Sleep's just kind of weird. HRV's kind of weird. Data looks weird, but I feel okay. So I don't, I don't really know what's happening, but I've got a couple things I'm going to try. One thing I'm going to try is I've been using the growth hormone like right when I go to sleep. And that's what I did last night. I actually injected like a few minutes before I went to sleep. And I think that might be too close to sleeping. And I think that might be disrupting my sleep cycle. So tonight, I think what I'm going to try is I'm going to try and inject like 2 hours before bed and then go to sleep and see if that makes any changes. We'll see. Um, Same thing, limit caffeine after 2 p.m., all that same stuff. But I'll just try that one change. I like to try to do one thing at a time so that I know exactly what fixed it or didn't fix it. And then I can go, okay, well, that didn't fix it. Let me try that plus this, and then just kind of add from there. So that's kind of my methodology there. One thing I wanted to share, because this is a Texas small based business, and I do, whenever I feel like there's been really, really good product or something that I feel like a company goes, beyond the Call of Duty, if you will, than just, charging us money and getting money and stuff. I try to call them out like from a business perspective. I'm not endorsed by this company at all, but I'll tell kind of a story that's kind of cool. So I follow a guy named Chase Irons online. He's getting pretty famous now. His traffic is picking up quite a bit. He's kind of a bodybuilding freak. He's on a ton of performance enhancing drugs, and he's been using them for like 20 plus years. So he's got a ton of experience with testosterone and growth hormone and some of these other things, and he takes a lot of it. But he's also a huge guy, but he's also a great businessman too. So like I learn a lot from him. I don't try to emulate everything he does, but I do learn a lot from him. I think he's a positive influence. Um, but he made a mention of this product called More Hydration. And I was like, oh, okay, let me go check it out. So I looked it up, and here it is. It's more MOR Hydration. So it's drinkmor.com. I'll put that in the chat. Um, so I just decided to give this a shot. I was like, okay, well let me try this. So I ordered all the flavors. So there's like blue raspberry, there's lemonade, there's sweet tea, there's peach mango. He basically got four flavors. Um, and I really like them. Like I like all the flavors. Blues raspberry is kind of my favorite. That's my kick right now. But the sweet tea is really good. Um, the lemonade is okay. The peach mango is really good. But yeah, if we kind of look at what the ingredients are, I think that's what drew me to them a bit. Was what's great about this is that water is kind of boring to me to drink. Like it's hard for me to drink just kind of straight up water. So I do need to have some kind of flavor in it of some kind, and so that's why I wanted to give this a shot. So I gave it a shot, and I really liked it. And you'll notice it's pretty limited uh, ingredients here. The one thing you kind of have to watch for if you're sensitive to it is that it does have sucralose in it, um, and so that is an artificial sweetener. Um, I'm not sensitive to that at all. I can drink a ton of sucralose and it doesn't bother me at all. But it's got some magnesium in it. It's got potassium in it. Um, it's got like one carb in it, which so that's uh, this isn't. It's always interesting to me. Like if you say there's one carb in it, you should say there's 4 calories, right? Because there's usually 4 calories in a carb. Uh, so yeah, it says zero, but everything. Like I guess what I'm kind of starting to learn is all these nutrition labels are kind of wrong. So the best thing you can do is like eat the same thing for a while and watch your weight, and then that will kind of equal itself out. So it says one squeeze for every 8 ounces of water. Well, I drink about a liter and a half at a time, and I do like 4 or 5 squeezes into that liter. So I guess it's 16 calories each time I do that, I guess. But whatever. But anyway, I didn't finish my story. So sorry, I'm kind of all over the place today. But what I liked about this is that I was like, okay, well, this is really good. So I drank all of the original ones I got. I kind of got like one of each flavor, I think. And they're not bad. It's like 13.99 for a 2 pack. So that's like seven per thing. And if you go to the store and you look at like some of the other hydration little squeezy things, they're usually $4 or $5 a piece. So it's pretty close. Um, but what's cool about these guys is like, so I went, okay, well, I'll do a subscribe and save so that I save a little money. That way it's like 4.25 a piece. And I'll just order. I picked peach mango and the blue raspberry. So this exact one right here, and I just put it on repeat for every month. I was just gonna get a couple of those. Um, well, what's cool is like the order came the next day, and I'm like, that's weird. Like how did they get it to me so fast? Um, and it turns out these guys are like an hour and a half north of me in Texas. It's actually a guy named Chris Tuttle and his wife. They live in Hazlitt, is where the shipment came from. That's why it came the next day. So I found out, yeah, like this company is in Hazlitt. It's they base it out of their, out of their home, and it kind of says here, um, he's a clinical registered dietitian, but he's also an IFBB pro. So he's also a pro bodybuilder. And so I went out to the internet and just kind of searched for him. And I mean, he's on some pretty big time podcasts. So, for example, like here's him and another guy named Justin Harris. That's this guy down here. Justin is very successful. This one up here, the Muscle Doc, this guy is very, very sharp and very successful. So Chris Tuttle, and then here's him on Muscle and Strength. So it's pretty cool. Like I've got like an IFBB Pro bodybuilder that lives like an hour and a half north of me. So anyway, I wanted to share that product information because I think it's a good product, and I also think that the price is not gouging. Like even his shirts like are $20. Like most influencer shirts and stuff like that are 30 or $35 a piece. So yeah, it might not be a great shirt, but at least he's not gouging people, right? And I feel like these products he could be charging probably more like $10 each, and get away with it just because of who he is. But yeah, and also it looks like you can sign up for an email to get 20% off your first order, which is cool. But that was the other thing I was going to say was that when it came in, I guess they noticed that I was like, I put myself on subscription, or they saw that this was like my second order. So they hand wrote me a note and were like, here's 20% off code. Do this next time. And, just that little thing I thought was really cool. Like, I felt like that was just that little extra that I thought was really going above and beyond. Here, this, IFBB Pro guy and his wife have this business out of their house, and they took the time to write a little note on my shipment to me. I thought that was cool. And the fact they gave me 20% off, that's even cooler. So, but it was mainly the note, even if they didn't give me 20% off. I just felt like that was really cool. So I'm going to be like buying this dude's stuff from now on. Like no more, I was buying like grape crush mix-ins from, I was looking for like a no caffeine type mix-in. So I was using the grape crush ones, but I'm just going to use these from now on. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little bottle. It's like this big. I should have brought it in here with me, but anyway, it's a great product. Like I think it's really good. If you're not sensitive to sucralose, give it a shot. And let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah. So that's kind of everything going on right now. The other thing that I noticed, this is kind of back to the health related stuff, was if I look at my stress, let's see if I could show stress. Will it show me stress? Uh, Maybe high activity? No, not high activity. There's got to be, well, in the Aura app, there's this thing that they call like your stress. Um, and yeah, I can't find it. But yeah, so they have this thing called like a stress score. And I noticed like my stress score was off the chart, like brutal the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm stressed. Yeah, it doesn't show in the app. That sucks. But in the mobile app, you can select you can view the stress, and yeah, over the last 2 weeks, like my stress was like just super high, and I'm like, I don't feel any more stressed than normal. There's really nothing going on in my life that's any more stressful than normal. And so I kind of sat back and I looked at my notes, and so in a notebook, I kind of write down. I'm not very good at it, but like every other day or so, I write down just little notes to myself. If I make a change to, you know, the growth hormone I'm taking, or recently I just changed to daily injections of testosterone instead of 2 times a week to try to level out my hormones a little bit more. I can do a whole episode on that. It's the rage. Like everybody talks about, you should be microdosing your hormones so that you don't get these huge spikes of testosterone. Makes sense. I mean, it matches your natural release of testosterone a little bit closer rather than shooting it, twice a week. Anyway, I'm about to get into the topic, but I'll cover that later. But anyway, anytime I make a change, I write it down in the little diary there, if you will. So I looked back at like 2 weeks ago at what was going on, and it turns out that 2 weeks ago I started taking 500 micrograms of something called SLU-PP332. Now, what SLU-PP332 is, it's a peptide. It is not certified by the FDA or anything like that. This is an experimental peptide. But it's supposed to be for what's called mitochondrial health. So the mitochondria is like the powerhouse of your cells. And, when people get metabolic syndrome, or they basically eat too much and they get overweight and it's not good, their mitochondria will downregulate and it makes them feel terrible. So, I'm always looking at trying to optimize things. And, if you search for SLU-PP332 on the internet, you'll find just everyone talking about it. It's the kind of the latest craze in the biohacking community. So I thought I'd try it. The minimum dose that this tablet comes in is 250 micrograms. And so I took that for a couple weeks uh, before fasted cardio. They say to kind of take it before you work out, so it gives you kind of an energy boost. Um, and you should take it on like an empty stomach. So I did that. I took 250 micrograms, and I didn't really notice any better performance in my cardio or anything. So I was like, okay, well, and there's some people that take 250 micrograms 3 times a day. Some people take 500 3 times a day, etc. So I was like, okay, well, let me just bump it to 500 micrograms, see what happens. So I bumped it to 500 microgram, and I noticed during my cardio, I definitely got hotter. I sweat more. My heart rate didn't really change, but I could definitely feel more energy being expended while I was working. And that's what that SLU-PP332 is supposed to be. It's what they call an exercise mimetic, which means it mimics the pathways of what happens when you exercise. Now, it's not a replacement for exercise, meaning it's not a magic pill where you could take it and it's like, don't have to work out today. I took my SLU. A lot of people call it sloop or slew. So I can call it slew. Sloop is that, I guess, because it's SLU-PP, so they call it sloop. And I guess I just learned this. It's SLU is St. Louis University where it was created, and then PP stands for something else. I can't remember what that was for. And then 332 is something else. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that it came out of the University of St. Louis. But anyway, it's been around a little while, but it just hasn't. There's no human studies in it. There's no medical application for it. So funding a study to see exactly what it does in humans just probably isn't going to happen. So anyway, I've been taking 500 micrograms of SLU anytime I did fasted cardio, which is pretty much every day. Well, I noticed like, okay, that was around the same time that these stress levels started really showing. And so I guess it kind of makes sense, that if you're ramping up your mitochondria, like that could probably show like you are in a heightened like sympathetic state, like your nervous system is charged, in a fight or flight or sympathetic. Because your nervous system basically has two modes, as I understand it. You got sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is fight or flight. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. So, while we're sleeping, it's parasympathetic. If you're like during the day and you're about to get in a wreck or something, that's when the sympathetic kicks in. It probably kicks in more than that. But anyway, it just seemed like I was in the hyper sympathetic state like all the time. So I did an experiment. Yesterday, I didn't take any SLU-PP332, and sure enough, like I wish it would show on here that I wish it would show that. I wish I could show you that in here. It was very pronounced. Like basically, yesterday I was like really chill. Um, let's see if I can maybe do daily, maybe. Yeah, high activity. High activity does not. It doesn't look like that corresponds to anything there. Yeah, I guess you. Yeah. Uh, inactive. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't really show. I wish I could show that stress. I don't know why they don't have it on here. Um, but yeah, like yesterday for 2 weeks, my stress bar was like blasted all the way up, and then yesterday it was like tiny, but my resting bar was really high, for the first time in 2 weeks. So it definitely seems like SLU PP332 or SLU um, triggers off that stress meter, if you will, in these apps. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I started to think, well, maybe that's what's wrong with my HRV. Maybe my HRV is getting tanked because I'm taking these mitochondrial supplements that's like cranking me up, and so therefore I'm never going into parasympathetic, so I'm never resting, so therefore I never recover. So that was the theory. Um, but yeah, I didn't take it at all yesterday, and it's got a real short half life. I think it's like 4 hours or something, or I don't know if they even know what the half life is because there's no studies on it in humans. But I know it doesn't last in your system very long. So I don't think that's what's causing my HRV. Maybe that I thought maybe indirectly it was causing it by affecting my sleep negatively. Because if your sleep's negatively impacted, your HRV will definitely get tanked because you're not recovering. Sleep's the main way we recover. So I thought maybe that was the deal. Um, but it could be that that is affecting my sleep a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep not taking it, and now I'm going to adjust the growth hormone back and see if that helps my sleep a little bit better. Because it's weird, like the growth hormone when I first started it was really helping my sleep. It got I'll have to go back and look at my notes, but my sleep quality, especially deep sleep, shot up big time, and that's what growth hormone is supposed to do. So that's one of the benefits, I guess, that growth hormone is supposed to give you. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to use growth hormone to improve my sleep if it makes my sleep terrible. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try to pull the dose earlier before a couple hours before bed, and then see if that makes a big difference. If that doesn't make a big difference, then I'm going to lower my growth hormone dose. Right now, I'm doing 4 IU before bed. I'm going to half it to two, because two is seen as kind of the therapeutic dose. Four is more of the enhanced dose. So I'm going to kick it back to two and kind of see what happens. I did go up to as much as 5 IU, and I didn't have a lot of people when they increase their growth hormone too high, they get they experience carpal tunnel like syndrome because the fluid retention in their wrist pinches off this nerve here, and they lose feeling in their hands. I didn't have any of that, but what I did have was headaches, and I did some research, and it turns out that that can create some intracranial pressure when when you use a little too much growth hormone. So I backed it off to 4 units, and the headaches went away. So I think that was root cause there. So yeah, so we'll see what happens when I pull that back. Um, let's see. So that's SLU. So SLU, like everybody out there talking about SLU, like it I think it goes back to everything in moderation. Like, I don't think you should use that every day. I think you should probably use it and then cycle off of it for a little while because your body needs to rest. So maybe on rest days, like don't do any cardio, don't take any slew, or if you do cardio, do low intensity, just steps only, and then don't take slew. I don't really hear anybody talking about that. They're just like they just talk about how great it is, but I think this is why like some of these peptides are kind of a slippery slope because everybody it's trendy to talk about them in terms of how great they are, but in terms of like really studying the effects of how it affects you personally, is something that you have to kind of just take in a grain of salt. Just because somebody does something and has great results doesn't mean you're going to do that same thing and have great results. That's one thing I heard kind of Chase Irons talk about with retatrutide, which I'll talk about here in a minute, is that like there's people out there that are like, yeah, my friend said he took, 10 milligrams or 5 milligrams of terzepatide. And so I'm going to take 5 milligrams of retatrutide, see what happens. And next thing you know, they're throwing their guts up and having like, bad toilet time. I'll just say it that way. And they're just sick as a dog. And it's like, yeah, it's because whatever worked for so and so, we're all different. Our bodies are different. We're all, tuned a different way. So you just have to try things, observe, introduce things slowly, one at a time, observe the changes, measure the data, and then determine, did it make a good impact on my life or a neutral impact or a bad impact? If it's neutral, you know, you may keep doing it because there might be something synergistic with something else. So like this plus this is actually even better. Or it might be neutral, like I don't want to do this anymore. I'll save my money and do something else. So you just kind of have to, it's just a big experiment, right? You have to, these are research peptides. That's why you have to research them and look at the data and make scientific decisions on how it helped you or hurt you or kept the same. So that's the other change that I've had. So, I think a couple weeks ago I may have talked about this, but my food noise is really high. So basically I have a lot of hedonic, I think is the word, hedonistic drive towards eating. In other words, like I'm counting the minutes between my meals. When I eat, it's very hard to stop eating. This is all just side effects from being very, very lean or getting very, very lean. It's starting to get a little bit better, but I think it's because I started retatrutide. Now, what retatrutide is that it's, you've got these generations of these GLP drugs for weight loss, right? First, we had Ozempic, that's a GLP-1. Then we have tirzepatide, which is a GLP-2. Retatrutide is actually a GLP-3. There's 3 different actions that it takes. And I'm not an expert in this. There's plenty of scientists and stuff on YouTube to talk about this, but it's supposed to help with like fat oxidation. It's supposed to help with glucose management. And then the third thing, and I can't remember what it is, but basically like these drugs are getting better and better and better. Now, retatrutide is in clinical experiments right now. It's not released for, you can't get a prescription for it right now, but you can get it through a lot of peptide websites. And basically, it's a weight loss drug that's just it does have human studies. And in the human studies, it's profound. I mean, people are losing 20 to 30% of their body weight in fat within like 6 weeks. Like it's crazy how good this medication is. The other thing, though, is that a lot of bodybuilders are starting to use it in prep now because it helps when they're cutting to get low body fat, because it helps with the food drive. It helps with appetite suppression, things like that. So I thought I would try it. So I tried half a milligram, so 500 micrograms, which is half, or actually a quarter of what the human trial started at. The human trial started at 2 milligrams per week. So that's the cool thing about this. You can take 1 shot a week, and that's it, and it lasts all week. There are some people that say towards the end of the week they started kind of getting their appetite back and the food noise was coming back. But what I wanted to be careful of is some people also reported that they got very nauseous and very sick when they took 2 milligram. Well, I'm in a recovery phase, or basically like I'm trying to get my weight to a comfortable position where my body is happy, right? But if I'm having all these food cravings all the time and I'm pigging out all the time, I'm just going to gain a ton of fat back, and then I'm going to have to go back on the cut and lose all that fat again and be miserable and et cetera, et cetera. So I want to delay that as much as possible. I'm supposed to be putting on good, solid, muscle mass right now with a little bit of fat, but mostly muscle. That's the goal of the phase I'm in right now. So I needed a way to basically try to control some of these cravings, right? So I tried the 500 micrograms of Reta, and I did notice like my food noise, like go eat, in the back of my mind did lower. But nothing very profound. So I think I injected last Sunday. I'm going to inject this Sunday. I'm going to go to 1 milligram and just kind of see where I'm at there. And just maybe ride 1 milligram for a while. So that's still half of what they give other people, but I'm also only 168 pounds. So these other folks that they were giving it to were quite a bit heavier. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that. But I think for like an athlete or like for a bodybuilder, etc., start low. I think that's the key, because if it makes me sick to where I don't want to eat, then I start losing muscle mass, and that is exactly the opposite of what I want to do right now. So anyway, I'm trying it out. We'll see what happens. Um, and I'll kind of just keep reporting back on what I find there. So, so yeah, lots of good experiments, lots of good data. Overall, things are going good. I'm feeling better, like energy wise. I feel better. From time to time, I'm grumpy. Sorry, Jennifer. I do tend to get a little. I am still a little moody, but I think that's probably the hormone stuff, kind of trying to stabilize out from the weight loss and all this other stuff. So I think once I get a little bit more body fat on me, I think I'll probably be in better shape. So that's kind of the trajectory I'm on right now. Questions. I'm going to open it up for questions for a few minutes, and then I got to go. We got my son's soccer game. We got to drive about 30, 45 minutes to get there. So I got to get my food in. I eat 6 times a day, so I got to get my food in and get on the road and get my second meal or my third meal packed so I can eat that on the road too. Then I got travel coming up. I got to go up to Washington here in a little while, in a few weeks. So trying to eat 6 times a day on the road is when you're traveling for work is not easy. So I've started to kind of get a little better at that, but I'm a little out of practice. It's been a few months since I've traveled. So, but this will be good. This will be a good trip. I'm looking forward to seeing all my colleagues that I haven't seen. Some of them I haven't seen in 5 years. So since COVID. So excited to see that. Okay. Well, I don't see any questions. And that's okay. That's totally cool. I just want to want to share out some information if I can, and see how everybody's doing. So I'll probably end there. Thanks for joining. I'm going to work out the kinks on this software here, but and hopefully I'll be able to put the chat up on the screen so we can kind of have fun with that. There's lots of cool stuff you can do with this software, and you can also stream it to multi-platforms. So I'd like to start streaming it to Facebook too. So if you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, you can tune in and watch it. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Thanks, Rach. I appreciate the wish for some sleep. I have been taking little naps, so that's been super helpful. But I can only usually sleep like naps, like 30 minutes. So it's, I hope it's helping. We'll see. But other than that, keep up the great work. I know you can do it. I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.